Everyone in the village knew about the house on the hill, the one no one dared to enter after dusk. It had once belonged to the Carr family, who mysteriously vanished without a trace over a century ago. Some say they were cursed, others whispered that something darker had claimed them, but no one truly knew. The shutters banged even on windless nights. The chimney sometimes coughed black smoke, though the place had been abandoned for decades, and occasionally the faint sound of piano keys would drift across the foggy fields. Despite the fact the house had no known piano, Mira didn't believe any of it, at least not until the inheritance letter arrived. She was the only surviving heir to the Carr estate, a fact she discovered from a lawyer who showed up with a worn briefcase and cold eyes. According to the documents, she owned everything now: the land, the house, and what lay inside. The papers were old but legal. All she had to do was visit, inspect, and sign. From the moment she set foot on the crumbling path leading up the hill, the air felt heavier. Trees leaned inward like they were whispering secrets to each other. The grass refused to grow evenly near the foundation. But it wasn't until she touched the brass doorknob, still unnaturally warm despite the October chill, that she felt it. The house welcomed her. The interior was a frozen memory of another era. Lace curtains hung stiff with age. Portraits lined the walls, their subjects glaring with oil-painted eyes. Furniture sat where it always had, preserved in dust and silence. But it was the piano that caught her attention first. It was in the parlor, just like the villagers whispered. A grand thing, black as a coffin, its keys gleaming like teeth. Mira didn't remember walking over to it, but when she looked down, her fingers hovered above the keys. They trembled, and then they moved, just one note. High, clear, sharp as a scream. She recoiled, heart racing. She hadn't meant to play anything. She turned from the piano and headed upstairs to find a place to sleep, choosing a guest room that smelled less like mothballs and more like lavender, though she couldn't explain why. That night, she dreamed of a little girl in a white dress standing at the foot of her bed. The child didn't speak, only raised her hand and pointed toward the hallway. Mira awoke with a start. Cold sweat soaked her back. There were footsteps outside her door. Slow, measured, barefoot. But when she flung open the door, the corridor was empty. Except the portraits were different. Now, they looked directly at her. Some even smiled that over the next few days, things grew worse. Doors closed behind her. Whispers came from the walls. The mirror in the hallway showed reflections that didn't match reality. Once she caught a glimpse of herself, smiling though her face was still. The piano played by itself every night at exactly 3:03 a.m. She stopped checking on the fifth day. She found the attic. The door was hidden behind a bookcase in the study. A breeze had blown a page, revealing a hinge. She knew she shouldn't go up there, but something called her. Not a voice. A pull. The staircase creaked under her weight. Cobwebs clung to her arms. The attic was dark until she pulled the chain to the bare bulb overhead and froze. There were toys. Old, handmade, and arranged in a perfect circle on the floor. In the center, a porcelain doll with a cracked face stared directly at her, but on the walls were names. Hundreds of them, scratched into the wood with fingernails, it seemed. And among them, her name, *** Mira. *** the doll tilted its head. The bulb flickered. Then the attic door slammed shut behind her, and the light went out. She screamed, stumbling backward, the names on the walls pulsing faintly in the dark. She heard the piano downstairs begin to play again, louder this time, faster. Then footsteps, lots of them, rushed up the stairs toward her. The door creaked open by itself. Nothing stood behind it, just empty hallway. That was the first time she tried to leave. But the road had disappeared. The hill was endless in all directions. When she tried to run through the woods, they turned in circles and brought her back to the porch. The house wouldn't let her go. And that night, the girl in the white dress came back. This time she whispered something. They all stayed. Now it's your turn. Mira tried to pack, to escape, to break windows. But they repaired themselves. Fire didn't burn. Phone signals never reached the house. Her car wouldn't start. The lawyer? Gone. No records of him ever arriving in town. The villagers stopped answering her calls. She was alone, or so she thought, that in the mirror one morning, she saw another figure standing behind her. A woman with hollow eyes, skin like parchment. When she turned, nothing, but the mirror remained fogged with a message, asterisk, asterisk, play for us. That night, Mira sat at the piano. Her hands moved on their own. The music that came out was twisted, haunting, unnatural. Faces appeared in the wallpaper. The house breathed. She couldn't stop playing. And now, if you ever walk near the Carr estate, you'll hear it. The piano, softly playing a lullaby you'll never forget. And sometimes, if you stand too close to the fence, you'll feel it too. The house is waiting again, just like it did for her, and it always wants more. It had been 8 days since Mira arrived at the house, and time was beginning to unravel. She couldn't tell the difference between dawn and dusk anymore. The sunlight, when it appeared, bled in through the windows like spoiled milk, thick, pale, and cold. Clocks ticked backwards. Her phone displayed dates from decades ago, and once it even showed her birthday before she was born. The piano was no longer limited to the parlor. Its music followed her, softly echoing through the pipes, humming behind closed doors, even vibrating faintly through the floorboards. It changed moods without warning, sometimes sorrowful and slow, sometimes frenzied and sharp, like screams translated into melody. She'd started plugging her ears with cotton, but still, the songs reached inside her head. The worst part wasn't the music, though. It was what the music summoned. On the 9th night, Mira woke to the sensation of hands pressing gently on her shoulders. The weight of them, cold, familiar. She couldn't scream. Her voice wouldn't come. When she opened her eyes, there was a shadow perched on her chest, tilting its head with curiosity. It whispered a name she didn't know. Annabelle. The shadow melted into the ceiling like water dripping upward. When she rushed to the mirror, her reflection had changed. Her eyes were darker, her skin almost translucent. Something was peeling away from her soul, and something else was sliding in. She stopped sleeping after that. The girl in the white dress visited again the next morning. This time she didn't appear in a dream. Mira found her in the dining room, sitting at the table, silently sipping tea from a cup filled with dust. Her eyes were milky, like she was seeing another world layered over this one. "You broke the rules," the girl said without looking up. "What rules?" Mira whispered. "Don't follow the piano. Don't go in the attic. Don't read the red book." Mira froze. "What book?" The girl only smiled, revealing too many teeth. She vanished when Mira blinked, leaving behind the faint scent of burnt sugar and roses. That afternoon, the red book appeared. It hadn't been there before. Not in the study, not in the attic, not anywhere. But now, it lay in the exact center of the dining table, where the girl had sat just hours ago. The cover was bound in dark leather that seemed moist, like it breathed. Its title had been scratched out violently, but the spine bore 3 letters, asterisk, asterisk, K, H, S, asterisk, asterisk. Mira didn't want to open it. Her fingers did anyway. The pages were handwritten in a language she almost recognized, a blend of English and something much older. As she flipped through it, the ink seemed to rearrange itself, translating the words just for her. It wasn't a book, it was a ledger. A list of names that at the bottom of the final page. Mira Carr, 2025, her breath caught in her throat. Her hands trembled, but beneath her name was a faint entry beginning to appear, still being written. Letter by letter. Asterisk final contribution. Music. Asterisk the moment she closed the book, the house howled. The walls shook. Pictures fell from nails. The piano slammed its own lid with a thunderous bang. Then the parlor door creaked open by itself. Mira didn't want to move, but her legs pulled her toward it, step by step. The piano was waiting, its keys glistening wet as if weeping. On its music stand rested a fresh sheet, handwritten in that same ancient ink. Her name was at the top. The song had no title. When her fingers touched the keys, the lights in the entire house died. But she could still see. Faint blue flames lit the room. Ghosts lined the walls, dressed in time-worn clothes. their faces hollowed by decades of sadness. Children, elders, women in nightgowns, men in suits soaked in blood, all staring, all waiting. As Mira played, the ghost swayed. The air thickened with whispers, and the melody took over her body. It wasn't just music, it was a ritual. The house fed on it. A sudden bang echoed from the second floor. She stopped playing. Everything went still. Then a whisper brushed her neck. You stopped. Mira ran. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to leave the parlor, the piano, the spirits, the house. But the house turned against her. Doors vanished when she reached for them. Staircases looped endlessly. Rooms led back into themselves. The windows showed places she had never seen. Cold forests, distant storms, and once her own funeral. She collapsed in what she thought was the guest room, gasping. The mirror across from the bed no longer reflected her. It showed the little girl in white, now standing in the hallway behind the door, her expression vacant. Mira didn't scream. She was too tired, too broken. That night, the piano didn't play, because Mira didn't sleep. She watched and waited. The next morning, she awoke to find a note pinned to her chest. It was written in the same ink as the red book. Asterisk, asterisk, tonight, we finish. She burned the book, or tried to. It wouldn't catch fire. The flames hissed and died around it, like the house was protecting it. When she ripped out the pages, they grew back. It was alive. Later that evening, thunder rolled in, but no rain followed. Just that unnatural wind, howling through the cracked windows like a beast in mourning. The piano began again at 3:03 a.m., but this time it played something new. A duet. A second set of keys echoed, not from the parlor, but from beneath the floorboards. She followed the sound. The basement, that a door she had never seen before now stood open. Cold air wafted out, thick with the scent of mildew and something coppery. The steps creaked with her descent. The stone walls narrowed, and at the bottom, in a circle of old candles, was another piano, identical, and seated at it was herself. Pale, hollow-eyed, moving her fingers in perfect sync with Myra's own hands above, as though tethered. Mira turned and ran, but the basement steps stretched on forever now. Her breath shortened. She could hear the other Mira begin to laugh. The laughter grew higher, sharper, more wrong, until it wasn't laughter anymore, but screaming from her own throat. She had never left the piano. She was still sitting there.